Yes, Victor, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Trevor.
Okay, very good. So, Victor, why don't you just go ahead and give us a sketch of what has occurred from the time of the incident and some of the procedural history of the incident in terms of its disposition. Just tell us what happened from the start in terms of what the Oregon basketball players were accused of and how it proceeded from there, based on your reporting.
Yeah, and I'm kind of using the on the Oregon website. They have a kind of a detailed timeline of it. So I'd say that's for any like holes to fill. And what I say, that's probably the best case or best thing to use. But I'll also tell you everything that I know based on it. So basically, the incident, the alleged incident, happened on the night of. So it was March 9th, early in the morning. So right after they had won, right after they beat Arizona, the basketball team had beaten Arizona. So that was on March 8th they beat them, and the party was that night, and it went into the morning. Then the alleged incident happened, and she said in the police report it happened around midnight to 2 o'clock in the morning. And then the next day, or that day on March 9th, she told her father about the incident, and then he contacted the University of Oregon Police Department. And then they kind of conducted they didn't conduct an investigation, but they kind of looked into it. They tried to contact her. Then 2 days later, on March 11th, was when they talked to the survivor, and there's a kind of an account online about what she told them. Then the Eugene Police Department took over. Right after that, on the 15th and the 14th, she talked with them, and that sort of, and they kind of are conducting an investigation around that time, and this is going on. Let me see the Pac-12 tournament. Let me just make sure, it was around, I want to say the 13th. That was when they started playing. So this was kind of the investigation was sort of going on around then. But the university, so Michael Gottfriedson, the president, said he didn't know the names of the people being involved until March 19th. Now, on March 17th,
he didn't know the names. Okay.
Yeah, so he found out the names of the three players involved, Dominic Artis and Austin. He found out that on March 19th, which is the day before the NCAA tournament. But they knew about an investigation going on well before that. Let me just make sure. It looks like, so on March 17th, they asked the Eugene police they found out, let's see, it's kind of vague, honestly, but so March 17th, basically, the University of Oregon asked the police department if they should suspend or not let any of the players go to the NCAA tournament. But they didn't know the players' names, and the Eugene Police Department said, don't do anything to alert the players of the ongoing investigation. They didn't want the university to, get in the way of the investigation going on. Later, there have been reports that come out that the Eugene Police Department didn't tell them specifically not to suspend the players. They just said don't do anything to infringe upon the investigation going on. So that was kind of left up to interpretation. And Michael Gottfriedson actually said in a faculty senate meeting that he felt like taking the players, not letting them go on the plane to the NCAA tournament would have infringed upon the investigation. So that's his account or his explanation for why they didn't suspend the players at that time.
So it didn't start with a report to any sort of campus authority. It went straight to the police first within a couple of days of the incident.
Yeah, so she told. Go ahead.
So it didn't enter the campus authority. It didn't enter any sort of campus authority pipeline until March 17th.
No, the University of Oregon Police Department knew on the day that the incident happened. They found out later that day because her father told them. So they found out And then, so they had their own account. Let's see. But so after that, it went straight to the the EPD, so the Eugene Police Department. They took over the investigation. That was right around March 13th to 14th. So, and the spokesperson for the Eugene, or for the UOPD, said he didn't know until March 5th about. So somebody had been contacted in the UOPD, but it looks like, and this is still a little vague, so I can't say for sure, and this is kind of what people were saying, but so they were the first ones to find out. The UOPD was the first ones to find out, and then Eugene Police took over the investigation, and they conducted their own investigation. They told the University of Oregon to make sure that, like, so they told them there's an investigation going on, and this is just what we've been hearing. So they told them, okay, don't get in the way of our investigation, and they kind of left that up to interpretation. So the NCAA tournament, that was, their first game was on the 20th, and basically the investigation into these three players went on went from March 20th to April 3rd, it says on this timeline. They asked the survivor to record conversations with the three players, and those conversations are detailed in the police report. Then the Eugene Police contacted the three players. Brandon Austin didn't comment. He spoke to his lawyer, but then Dotson and Artis both spoke to the Eugene Police Department. Let me see, I'm going a little bit ahead. And then basically the district attorney on April 14th. Sorry, say that again?
I had a question. So, according to the police report, there was also what was commonly called a confrontation call, where they set up the alleged victim to talk over the phone with the accused to see if they will sort of incriminate themselves. Is that separate from the police contacting them directly, or which one of those occurred first? Because the police report does talk about her calling with the police reporting. Is that at the same time, or was that before or after the police actually tried to make contact with the players?
I'm looking on the timeline. It's sort of, let's see, it doesn't look like they have it on the timeline. I think, I can't remember off the top of my head. I can get back to you on that. I'll look it up while I'm talking.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, because it's in the police report, and I'll just kind of check to make sure. I know it was during the investigation, which was going on, from mid-March to early April. But so yeah, the police department asked this woman, the survivor, to basically contact the three players over phone and then record the messages. And so they recorded she recorded what they said, and then in the police report it kind of details what those conversations were like. And then after that, they contacted. Here, let's see. I'm on the police report where it says it. It doesn't look like it has the date. There might, and maybe I'm just not looking. Maybe I just don't have the date correct, and there might be somewhere, but it doesn't look like on the timeline or on the police report it has the specific date that she called them. But it was during the investigation.
Okay, now you said the police attempted to interview all three players. You said two of them talked to the police and one of them did not. Which were they?
So Brandon Austin, basically, so he did not comment directly to them. His lawyer basically said that any contact with Austin would have to go through his lawyer, Laura. But Damyean Dotson and Dominic Artis both talked to the police in the interviews.
Okay.
And I'm looking now, and then the police officer, the Eugene police officer, said he contacted this woman on March 17th to learn that she had made recorded phone calls with Austin and Dotson, Dotson and Artis. So I still don't know exactly which day, but it was right around that. So in between, basically, when she made the statement between like March 11th and March 17th, she had called those three players, or I guess it was just Artis and Dotson. So she only called them and recorded phone calls. So before March 17th in that window. There might be a specific date, but that's as specific as I know right now.
She called Dotson and Artis between March 11th and March 17th. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so, are you aware of whether those were arranged by the police, or she actually just initiated those herself and actually went to the police with the recordings?
As far as I know, I'm almost positive. I'll have to just double check. But yeah, the Eugene let's see, it says so. Yeah, I'm almost positive, like almost 100% sure that the police department asked her to do that. So
okay.
Let me see if they. Yeah, so I think I remember reading that somewhere. I don't want to say for sure, but I know that she, and she then delivered the recorder to the police. So it seems like I'm trying to. I know I swear I read that somewhere, but yeah. So in the police report it should say, but and then so the police department talked to Artis on April 3rd.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then, okay, here's what it. Let's see. Okay, so it says right before. So when the interview happened with the Eugene Police Department, which was on March 13th, 14th, the police officer asked her at the conclusion of that interview if she'd be willing to contact Artis, Dotson, and Austin by phone and record the conversations. And then she said she was willing to do so. And then the police officer left a digital recorder in the earpiece. So that's directly from the police report. So the police department did ask her to record.
Okay.
And then
what?
Oh, you can go ahead.
Okay. No, go ahead. You're good.
I was just going to say, the only thing I was going to say is that on April 14th, the district attorney, the Lane County district attorney, did dismiss the case, would not file criminal charges against the three players. So yeah, that's kind of when the whole criminal investigation and all of the ramifications from that ended.
Mm-hmm. Now, at any point, based on what you know, was any sort of discipline, was any sort of case filed in terms of disciplining the players, or did the first of what you hear in terms of disciplining the players happen at the Dana Altman conference?
Yeah, so when there was discipline against the players, is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Okay.
Both by the team and by the university.
Okay, so they were suspended from the team on May 1st. So basically, the athletic director and Dana Altman had reviewed the police report on April 29th and the 30th, and then the next day they suspended them from the team. Then on May 5th is when that call came out that they were not participating on the team. So as far as their standing in school, there hasn't been anything that's come out about them being expelled. So all right now that we know is that they are not going to be playing basketball at Oregon again. But and there was a report that Dominic Artis was pursuing a transfer. But that is also not confirmed by any official source. So all we know right now is that those three players are no longer on the team.
Okay, so we know they're on the team, but whether or not they've been expelled, that's not on the record.
Yeah, that's not on the record yet.
Okay. Now, at what point did you come to know of the, let's see, let me write this down. Rumor that Artis is pursuing transfer. Now, at what point did you come to know of the Title IX complaint that was filed by Mr. Hornbuckle? And based on your understanding, what's his background? Is he a booster of the team, or was he just a concerned citizen who's a former politician who just lived in the community? Or so just take one of those one or whatever order you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so basically our news editor got an email directly from him, at least as far as I remember, directly from him. I think he sent it to multiple local news outlets, including us, and that was on Monday, May 12th. So I got an email forwarded to me by our news editor that night. So it was that evening on May 12th. And so that was when I first learned about the complaint, and then wrote up the posts right on then.
Okay. So Hornbuckle sent out the releases to everybody else, so he sought out contact. All right.
Mm-hmm. And as far as his affiliation, I know he's a former Eugene City Councilor, but that's all and we've looked into it a little bit, but there isn't really an affiliation with the team or anything like that. As far as we know, we haven't seen any direct affiliation with the team.
Mm-hmm. Now, in terms of the accuser, the alleged victim, is she still on campus? Has she pursued any similar litigation that you know of, or has she decided to leave? Is she still a student? What do you know about her disposition right now?
Those are all questions that I've been dying to answer. Trying to, we've all asked ourselves. It's, we have no idea. We've looked into, we've definitely done, investigations into trying to find her, to see, to talk with her, to find, just to find any information we can on her. And there hasn't, nothing's popped up. The amount of knowledge we know about her is very little. We've had some minor leads as to parlay who she might be, but there's only so much we know right now. We know that she's African American, and there's hints that she's a freshman, at least because she's just based on the police report, it sounds like she lives in the dorms, but there is nothing to confirm that's her status in school. We've tried contacting Cassie, who was named in the police report. Said Cassie is a student, works for the athletic department. We've tried finding, people looking at people in Cassie, and that hasn't, nothing's come out of that yet. So we tried contacting the players. There's just been no success in that one. So we don't know any information as far as what she's doing now. There are people who said that I've heard. I've talked to other people who've heard of other people who know who this girl is. But as far as finding out who it is, we haven't had anything yet.
And obviously, with rape shield laws, you're not going to reveal that information anyway. Obviously, so.
Right. Yeah.
And back to a couple things about the case. One of the players that was dismissed from the team had some sort of allegation at a previous college. Can you go into that and what was the situation there?
Sorry, say that one more time. I didn't hear it fully.
One of the players had a previous situation at another college that he transferred from. Which player was that, and what was the situation? What was the controversy surrounding him?
Yeah, so that was Brandon Austin, and he transferred from Providence College, and basically, so when he transferred, and this is a very hazy situation, so I'll just tell you as much as I know, and I don't know if anybody knows much more at this point, but he transferred, and Dana Altman, and he said this actually after this whole Oregon case came out. He said that he talked to the coaches and to Austin, during the transfer process, which was back in January, And he said the coaches, said that the issue, because often, let me start out that he was suspended from Providence. He was suspended, and they said it was a violation of. So he was a violation. Say that one more time.
When was he suspended from Providence, and when did he begin to matriculate on the U of O campus?
So he transferred to. Let me look up exactly, because the wording is very much like he was suspended for violation of team rules. I don't know for sure if that was the exact wording, but there wasn't. Basically, they didn't say there was any. It came out basically on March 18th. The Wall Street Journal reported that he was involved in the sexual assault allegation in Providence, and that allegation came on an incident from November. I think it was November 6th. It was right early November, basically. But
November
that
6th
news hadn't come out.
2013 or 2012?
2013.
Okay, so it was within the years when the allegation occurred, or when the incident occurred at Providence.
Yeah, so he was suspended during or right before the 2013-14 season for Providence.
Okay.
Now let's see, and he was suspended, and they didn't say, the school did not say, Providence did not say specifically what this suspension was for. They said it was some, a violation of team rules, something like that. It was definitely not, he was involved in a sexual assault allegation, because that news didn't come out until March 18th. But so he was suspended for the season, and he transferred to Oregon on January 6th. But the coaches told Dan Altman, and this is just based on what Altman has said and what Providence has said. This is just based on what they have said, that the coaches gave Altman confidence that the incident wasn't a huge deal, or wasn't anything too concerning. He talked to Austin, and didn't have anything. Didn't have anything of he didn't find anything about that allegation. So
there's no police report that names Brandon Austin or anything like that he knows of.
No.
Okay.
The only time that there was a story that came out that said that I think some of the school, I can't even say for sure, but it seemed like Providence knew that there was an allegation going on. It's so hazy at this point, it's hard to really say, but from what we know right now, that the news didn't come out that he was involved in a sexual assault allegation at Providence. That didn't come out until March 18th. Now, the incident occurred in November, but the public didn't find out about that until March 18th. And the University of Oregon and Dana Altman claim that was the first time they heard about it too, that they knew about it. Let's see. So Dana Altman, in the press conference, he said that the coach, Ed Cooley from Providence, said it wasn't a legal matter, it was a university matter. That was the incident that caused Austin to be suspended. And let's see. And Altman also said that Providence was trying to keep Austin, so that also gave him confidence that the allegations weren't serious. So yeah, that's kind of about as much as we know.
So they suspended him from the team, but they didn't dismiss him from the team.
Yeah, exactly. So he was suspended, but still not dismissed.
Okay, and he wasn't dismissed or expelled from the school, and that you know of. Okay.
Not that I know of. So.
All right. Now, based on the incident, just going back to the incident and what you know of it, did it occur at one location or two or three? Because from what I read the police report, where it was 2 locations.
Yeah, and actually, let me clarify just real quickly on the Austin thing. So on the Austin suspension for Providence. So the suspensions were announced on November 6th, and that was 3 days after the alleged sexual assault incident occurred. And basically, the suspension, the school said that the players were suspended indefinitely. So this was Austin and Rodney Bullock. Those 2 were both involved in this sexual assault. And the school said they were suspended indefinitely from participating in games for not upholding their responsibilities as student athletes. So that was the official ruling on their suspensions.
Okay,
and then I'll go. Yeah, that's
handed down from the administration or from the, it was handed down from the college.
Looks like they got the college. It doesn't say the athletic department. This is just based on a report I'm reading from the Wall Street Journal. So it looks like the school was the one who said that. So.
Okay, suspended, probably pending investigation. And so immediately after, Brandon Austin said, I'm going to try to see if I can get out of here because, for whatever reason, the spot's hot or whatever. Yeah, so you were going to begin on what you knew about the incident itself. Was it the 2 locations, 3 locations, and was the accuser and the alleged victim, was she known to the players beforehand based on what you know?
She didn't know the players beforehand. So she had run into Joseph Young, who's one of the basketball players. She ran into him on March 7th, which was basically a day or 2 before the incident. And then she got Joseph Young's number, and then he texted on the night of, he texted the survivor on the night of March 8th that there was a party going on at Jonathan Lloyd's house. Jonathan Lloyd is one of the basketball players as well. So she and some friends. With that?
Let me write this down. So March 7th, she met Joseph Young, exchanged numbers, texted that there was going to be a party. There was to be a party on March 8th. On March 8th,
Correct,
at
yes.
whose house? At whose house?
Jonathan Lloyd. He was the point guard for the basketball team at that time.
Okay.
So she and a friend, or I forget if it was one friend or 2 friends, went to Jonathan Lloyd's house. She went into the party and she said some basketball players, some tall African American men approached her, and 3 of the men were Dominic Artis, Damyean Dotson, and Brandon Austin. So that was the first time, and she said she didn't really recognize them at first, and then she knew they were basketball players later on in their encounter. So she said that was the first time she had met them, and then they took her into a bathroom, which is where the first alleged incident occurred. And so they went into the bathroom, and for her side of the story, she said that Austin and Dotson both raped her in the bathroom. And then they ended up leaving, according to the police report, according to their first statement. They ended up leaving, and then they went back in. And that's when Artis also participated in the sexual assault with the other 2 players. So they went back into the same bathroom during that party. And then, so that happened, and then they left the party. All 4 of them left the party.
Let me stop there. So there was an alert there. So she was alleged an assault by 2 of the players when she first went to the bathroom, exited the bathroom at some point, and then returned. At which point she said that a 3rd player had also participated in the sexual assault.
Yeah, and that was Artis.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So basically 2 sexual assaults happened, in that bathroom. Then they left the party, so those 4 left the party, and then they got in a cab, and went to Dotson and Artis' apartment. So they took a cab and they went to their apartment, and then that's where another sexual assault allegedly occurred. was in their apartment. All three players participated according to the report. And so based on two locations, but three separate incidents of sexual assault.
Okay, so they went back to Artis' apartment, and this is where the bedroom encounter occurred.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, he was part of the third encounter. Yeah.
Okay. Now, in terms of, because I'm assuming, from what I meant, there had been some drinking occurring. Is she alleging at all that the players, did she allege anywhere that the players had administered any substances to her, or had she been drinking at the party beforehand, or has she been taking alcohol or any sort of substances before she got to the party, or like I said, is she accusing that she was plied with a substance?
I'm not exactly recalling what it. From what I remember reading, she did drink before the party, but I don't know if she necessarily said. I think, yeah, I can't say for sure on the drinking before the party when she met the players, but there were multiple mentions in the police report when they were in the cab going to Dotson and Artis' apartment that she was given some alcohol. Like they had her take like a swig or a drink of some alcohol in the cab. So that's the only mention that I can remember as far as them giving her alcohol. And she didn't say it was a lot of alcohol, but it was like a sip or a couple of sips. So that's the only mention as far as them giving her alcohol in the police report.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Victor, for your time. Is there anything else that you would want to add that based on what anything about the campus atmosphere, what's occurred recently? Is there any sort of cloud over the program in terms of any threats to Mr. Altman's job? Have there been some, is there a university investigation that you know of as to, how this took place and whether there was any malfeasance? Anything you want to add before we wrap up?
Yeah, I think as far as campus atmosphere, there has been kind of a, what do you call it? There've been some rallies on campus from some of the sexual assault prevention groups. I think there one group, Sexual Wellness Advocacy Team, and they've been calling for Altman's job. There have been many people who called it a rape culture, and are trying hard to get rid of the rape culture. I haven't seen too much on campus as far as people on Hornbuckle's side, but it does seem from the comments on that story and from him. But there are people out there who do think that, and I've seen other stories too, I think, where their people are kind of wondering why these players are kicked off the team. So I think overall on campus there is more sympathy with the survivor, but there are people who are sympathizing with the players too. One thing that I've seen from both sides is there is sort of an admission, there is sort of almost an assumption of guilt on both sides. It seems that a lot of people say that it was definitely rape, and a lot of people on the other side are saying that it was definitely consensual, which I think is a part of just kind of the severity and the kind of, I don't know, the grand, the largest scale of this story. It's a very big, controversial story, an emotional story, and I think that's a big. What's that?
It's very polarizing, which is what happens.
Yeah, polarizing. Yeah, exactly. So, and I think a lot of people are kind of going to one side or the other, and it seems like that's kind of been a big reaction from people, especially on the Hornbuckle thing. He was somebody who even said in his complaint that it was definitely consensual, just based on the details from the police report. The only thing I'd say to that is that we are very unsure of what happened. The police report is detailed in a lot of ways, but there's also a lot of conflicting reports. That it doesn't seem, the players didn't admit that it was, a rape. They seem to think it was consensual, or at least by their statements, say that it was consensual. And she, claiming, and she's claiming that.
So going back to that, they claimed it was consensual. Now, based on what you know of the confrontation calls that were recorded secretly by the police, did either of the players indicate that it was non-consensual, or did they basically on their own say that that this was consensual or anything like that, or that they and what?
Yeah, they claim
they were troubled by the trouble. They feel that they were troubled by it at all. What happened?
They definitely did not say that they definitely didn't say, how do I phrase it? They didn't say it was a rape. They didn't admit it was a rape by any means. They said it was consensual, so that's what they said. So that's kind of where the confliction comes in, because they, neither side has admitted, they both are very, like the survivors very much say, she was raped, and the players, none of the players have come out and agreed. So that's where it sort of is hazy, because, those four seem to be, there have been witnesses that have come out, which kind of, have provided some details, but as far as we know right now, there is no definite, answer on one way or the other. Right now, we don't know for sure if she was or if she wasn't, or which place she was. It's very up in the air, very very hazy right now. So that's sort of the thing with this whole story is that nobody knows for sure what happened that night. So it's and it's sort of thing that. What's that?
Did she submit to a rape kit at all?
Sorry, say it one more time. I didn't catch it.
Did she submit to a rape kit by the police at all?
She did. She submitted some physical evidence from the night, but they didn't. Let me see. They didn't say it wasn't enough to use. It was basically. Let me just double check this. Okay, so yeah, so they asked her for some evidence, some physical evidence. I'm trying to remember what exactly what she gave them. It does say in the police report. I'm just forgetting exactly, but yeah, I'm not remembering, but she did submit some evidence of some sort, some physical evidence, but I'm forgetting exactly what it was at this point.
Now, I did read in the police report that subsequent to the alleged sexual assault, a couple days later, she visited with another player at his, would that be either Young or Lloyd, or who would it be?
Well, so what happened, actually, the morning after the assault, she said she had consensual sex, or engaged in consensual sexual acts, with Artis, Dominic Artis, that morning. So on March 9th, the morning of March 9th, after they, slept, she said she had consensual sex, or I think it was oral sex, with him. And then I think it was that later that day, forgetting exactly, but she did also have consensual sex shortly after with Joseph Young, at least according to the report. So both of those players,
so Joseph Young was the first guy she met who told her about the party, and she ended up having sex with him subsequent to the alleged sexual assault. Like
right. Yeah. He's the one who told her about the party, but he wasn't involved, as far as we know, with any of the events that night, as far as just texting her, in saying there's a party at Jonathan Williams. So that was really his only involvement that we know of that night.
Now, has Mr. Young been approached by the police that you know of, or has he been part of any sort of investigation, or possibly under fire from any campus sexual assault advocates that maybe he took advantage of her in a time of weakness or something like that? Have you been hearing any of that type of stuff or anything involving Joseph Young going forward in terms of the status for the team and on campus and any criticism of him?
All I know about him is that he, still on the team. He tweeted that he wasn't transferring. So that's as much as I know about him. I can't tell you anything about as far as even like the pressure. I haven't heard any pressure from campus about trying to investigate him or anything like that. So yeah, that's all I know about him at this point.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we have all I need. Thank you so much, Victor, for being. I was to tell you my background. I was a member of the Arizona Daily Wildcat staff 20 years ago, and it's important to know when to put your opinion hat on and when to put your journalist hat on. You've done a very admirable job, and I do appreciate your information. If you find out anything more, anything proceeds, send us a link if you do any reporting and any further activity that happens on campus in terms of discipline or any sort of investigation. Just kind of keep us posted. Or if the accuser, alleged victim, files any sort of legal action, or if the players file any sort of legal action, or if there's any sort of Title IX investigation from the government, which is happening in a lot of places too. So.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks a lot. No problem, and I'm glad I could help.
All right. Take care, Victor. And I'm rooting for the with U of A out. I'm rooting for the Duck Ladies to go ahead and do the thing this year and bring it back to the Pac-12.
All right. Thanks. And send me along are you writing a story? Is that what the usage is going to be for my interview?
We're writing stories on some of the various things that are going on various campuses. As you know, there's issues with due process and, Title IX investigations going on at different campuses where accusers and victims are saying that the universities are not doing enough and the policies are substandard. On the flip side, the accused saying that there's not enough due process in the accounts, and they're actually starting to file Title IX lawsuits. And, Iowa State, the player just filed a suit at the university and his accuser. We have one in Columbia, and, going back to the Duke Lacrosse thing. But there's starting to be a groundswell of these type of situations where there's legal action on both sides claiming that there's gender discrimination, one, creating a hostile atmosphere by not having remedies for victims and accusers, and one, for the accused saying there's not enough access. It's happening sometimes with student athletes too. So we're just kind of keeping an eye on this and keeping some monitoring of this as well. So,
Cool. Sounds great.
All right. Thank you so much, Victor, and best of luck to you, and have a good day.
You too. All right.
Take care. Bye-bye.